whose parent or parents lost their entire families or were confined to Auschwitz or other death camps in the 1930s and 1940s, we know what anti-Semitism is, and we know what a hate crime is. When these three boys who came into this building scrawled an expletive beginning with the letter F on a blackboard upstairs and kill the N-word on a blackboard upstairs, we know those statements were hate, ethnic, religious, and racial. We didn't need a court or a district attorney to tell us it was or wasn't. This was not boys will be boys, as I heard in the halls of one of the courtrooms one day. They were just a bunch of young kids. They didn't know what they were doing. We know anti-Semitism when we see it. Such hatred is learned somewhere. Any child brought up in a home with solid morals would never even consider undertaking such actions. It was a tragedy which cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair, yet each boy was directed to pay no more than $2,000, and not all of it was paid back, and nothing was done about it. It was a tragedy that the boys were away from home for only a short time, yet not in any jail, and not even held for most school activities for any meaningful amount of time. It was a tragedy compounded by the elevation of one of these boys to the designation as a leader by our local school administration, some of whom still sit on the board, the school board, and still administer this school. This so-called leader who joined in the trashing of this building was part of a so-called, quote, leadership group, unquote, that excluded the only Jewish student in the high school. That Jewish student would eventually become the salutatorian of her class, but she was not a leader. The school administration excluded Jewish teachers from being advisors to that leadership group. And when the one Jewish student, her parents, the Jewish community, and many others spoke up for redress to the school board, they were scoffed by that board and by the superintendent, who are still there. Later, a few Jewish teachers who registered protests were moved to other buildings, forced to resign a position or otherwise demoted. And finally, when that wonderful Jewish salutatorian was at graduation, she never got the award for leadership, even though selected for it. That award had been endowed by the last full-time rabbi of this congregation, Rabbi Shapiro. Rather, the award was given to the son of a parent who arranged financing for the, quote, leadership trip, end of quote. Months later, the administration notified the young lady that there had been, quote, a mistake made by a letter. We know anti-Semitism when we see it. So, we have seen a tragedy on several fronts. There were some of us who refused to allow these actions to destroy our community. Norwich and its surroundings is a tightly knit community of good people, of people who know right from wrong. We thank you, the moral in our community and beyond our community, who responded to the injustice and helped us to get where we are today. We look to the future. One only needs to look around this building to see what we have to do. Look at the ceiling. Look at the walls. This gorgeous building is part of the history of Norwich and Chenango County, and it deserves preservation. We have plans to sustain and improve and make this building even more useful to our community. It is with much humility that I thank all of you and all of those who gave funding, time, sweat, knowledge, and encouragement to us. I would like to now introduce Professor Harvey Terrace, who is from Syracuse University. Syracuse was instrumental in seeding our restoration effort. Harvey became my brother and friend. His abilities, eloquence, and high regard in the academic, religious, and general Syracuse community opened many doors for us over the past several years, culminating with this event this afternoon. Harvey Terrace.
Thank you, Jim. I'm only going to take a couple of minutes. When I woke up this morning in Syracuse, New York, it was raining, thunder and lightning, but it's been a sunny day all day. It's cloudy out today up here in Norwich, but it's a sunny day today. I'm so happy today. You know, at my age, I'm a child of the 60s, and I've been involved in many, many campaigns during the course of my lifetime. Anti-war campaigns, campaigns for women's rights, campaigns for union democracy, campaigns for better wages for folks. And you know, there have been some small victories, but you got to have a lot of patience and a lot of persistence. And you have to be content with those small victories. I've never experienced, however, anything quite like this, because this is a complete and absolute victory. And it's a victory that proves the truth of an old slogan. You know, even though I've been part of a lot of campaigns and I've marched a lot, I've never really been comfortable chanting slogans. But this event here makes one slogan very real to me. It vindicates this slogan, and it shows the truth of the slogan. And it's a simple one that some of you might be familiar with. The people united can never be defeated. The people have done this. People from the city here, people from the region, men and women, young and old, rich and poor, rural and urban. People have come together all over the area to donate and to make this glorious day happen. The people indeed have spoken against prejudice, against anti-Semitism, against hatred. And that makes me extremely proud. The people have been magnificently led. I want to salute once again an artist, a craftsman with a conscience, John Dobbs, who is standing among you, did a great deal of the restoration work, particularly difficult glass work. I want to thank Nancy Cantor, the outgoing chancellor of the university. It was her decision to offer a donation, a matching grant, that really jump-started this whole campaign. She couldn't be with us today, but I just want to let you all know that her efforts at publicly engaged scholarship, at Scholarship in Action, are really behind some of the efforts that made this day possible. And of course, I want to salute the Furtigs, Jim and Susan. They are two people with a great deal of integrity, a great deal of persistence, and a generous amount of likability as well. So would you please join me in thanking them? I want to thank them, and I want to thank you for this really uncompromising and deeply satisfying victory. Thank you very much.
And finally, I just want to recognize the several people that are here today. Our mayor is here, Mayor Joe Moriano. And we also have here members of the Norwich Police Department. There are many, many people, more than I can thank, for giving assistance to get where we are today. Martha Ryan is standing over here. Martha is one of the driving forces in getting word out to beyond the Norwich area and putting many of our events together. There are people who came in here, and I'm just going to mention names because if you're here, I want you to hear your name. And if I forgot your name, yell at me afterwards. Gary Wade. Gary is a construction person that came in here and just did stuff and then didn't give bills many times. Same with a guy named Joe Moxley. He found a plumbing problem we had and wouldn't give a bill. Dr. Michael King. We all know Mike. He's a local veterinarian. Mike and Robin gave some of the drink that you're enjoying today, and on top of that, Mike is very good with woodworking, and he fixed a lot of the dental work around this building. Frank Speziali took pictures for the paper. Frank's right down here. Made discs for us, which we sent all over the place that excuse us, help us get funds. John Antonowitz is a local historian here in town, and he did many things for the community and us in getting this place where it is. There were locks fixed by Phil Bedford. Gary Kittel is a plumber. Mark McCarthy's a plumber, all of which who did work. Dory Sanger did a lot of our work in getting you here today. Mary Musson in the flowers, and of course I would be remiss to not mention Joe Coe, who is a very talented artisan in woodworking and restoring rooms. If you saw the room behind the stained glass on the second floor, that's Joe's work, and he refused to take any money for it. So again, thank you all for coming. I know it's a little warm. You're all to be blessed. Thank you very much.